Is it recording now? Yeah.
It
Hello.
is. It is. Go ahead.
Okay, great is here. Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to today's live and welcome Syl.
Thank
And
you, Beena. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to
yes,
you as
good
well.
morning.
Yes, good
Yes,
morning. Good morning. Welcome to the open. And
yes.
I want to call our thing a show. I like this idea of a show. It changes the
Okay.
dynamic. So welcome
Yes,
to our show. Yes. And I
yes,
feel
yes,
it's a
yes,
late night show, the late night Moreness show. That's how I'm treating this. Now that's what I'm
yes.
going to be
Okay,
calling
so
it, right?
so while you are doing all the things and making it available on other
Yes.
sites also,
Yes. You are
um,
going to share your opening monologue. That's what it's called in the show.
yes,
Opening
yes,
monologue by
okay.
Beena.
Yes, okay. Hopefully Norma will be here. So in
Yes.
advance, hello Norma. Um,
Yes.
but
Hello, Norma.
today's thought, just before coming here again, we were chatting and there was a discussion about what would you do to save someone's life. And I was not able to respond to that immediately. Even a bit later on, also, I was surprised by that because
Qualify it. Qualify it. What do I mean by saving a life? Not physically.
yes, it's not physically, it is just like in a different way to save a life, like spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. And I was just thinking about that because since I have started Way-of-Impeccability, even before that, this idea never occurred to me in its fullness that I can save someone's life,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I really want to. That is something I was like, wow, okay. I just think of, yes, of course, before coming here, my friends were asking me if you, okay, they're discussing personal things, and it made a huge difference in their lives, according to their situation and circumstances, and according to my awareness at that time also. But it was really huge, and it really transformed many's life, okay, many of my friends' life. but but still I never consider it as saving someone's life, or maybe it is not, because for
Ah,
me, whenever you do something, you just touch to one of the countless or many aspects of someone's life. You cannot just be in totality, you cannot claim it that you can save, okay. Yes, some people really can, they can save someone's life, but for me, the understanding was and still is that I can only connect with that particular aspect of anyone's life, or even personality, with which they are communicating me. That is
communicating to
something
you.
very,
Yeah.
yes, because I don't know, and I cannot ever claim that, okay, I know someone with entirety and with fullness and
Yeah.
totality.
Yeah.
No. So, and I don't know that, okay, what might be really important for them, or I'm no one, and
Um,
I'm not interested also into that. So for me, it was always limited to one aspect of the life.
yeah.
Even if someone say that, okay, I also use this for one of my friend, and I said that he really saved my life. You don't like to name him, so that's why I'm not saying that. He really saved my life in that particular circumstances and situation, and one aspect of my life. And even that would be a physical danger also. So he really saved it,
Yeah.
but but saving someone's life is a big, huge, huge, huge thing for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that
Um,
question was not, of course, not to a common person. That question was, of course, for Biella. And yes,
right.
that is
Right.
something
Right. Right. Now,
it
in
might be.
context, Beena, before you continue, it's very important to me to make this disclaimer here, or caveat. And that is when I asked this question, that there was, for me internally, it was asked with the understanding that what would I do to save a life, whether I thought I could or not. Actually, it wasn't even part of my thinking whether I could or not. It was never even a consideration. Just what would I do? In other words, I should modify that question to say, what would I do to try? Whether I think I can or not doesn't matter. in other words, it's more not what I can do, but how much effort am I willing to make? That's really the question, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, that is something different now,
Right.
because
Right.
that question, of course, this modification was really crucial and needed for me, and I was
Yes.
super reluctant to respond to that, because
Yes.
this is what I have learned from way of impeccability. That was going completely against to my understanding of way of impeccability, that I can
Wonderful.
be in
Wonderful.
position to change someone's life, no, or sorry,
Yeah.
save someone's life. No, I'm not into that, and I'm not intending to do that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not into, yes, if it came, it will come via attunement, and I would be in position to share something with them, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But having this intent, having this understanding is not part of my thinking or my thought process anymore,
Exactly.
or it has
Exactly.
never been.
Exactly. Exactly. So the question is very crucial. And sorry, it was so innate to me because of wave impeccability to not even, I didn't even consider the question in the context of whether I can or not. It's irrelevant. In other words, so the question is not, well, I suppose it still is, what would you do to save a life? But let's refine it to say, how much effort are you willing to make to save a life? And I want to say real quick, and I want you to continue, but I also want to say hello, Ramsey. Glad you're here.
Hello,
Hello, Norma.
Ramsey.
Really thrilled you're here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I want to ask you, Norma, and I want to ask you, Ramsey, how much effort are you willing to make to save a life? And we're not talking physically, physically save somebody's drowning or whatever. I don't mean that, because that's, you do whatever is appropriate in the moment. It's hard to say, but to save a life, right? What are you willing to do? How much effort are you willing to do? Whether you know you can or not is irrelevant. This is not even a question. You're just going to make the effort. That's it. It's all about the effort, right? How much effort are you willing to make to save a life, right? This is a very deep, deep spiritual question. Very, very deep spiritual question. And so I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say on this. So please continue, Beena. Please continue.
Okay. So now, as you modified that question, it helped a lot for me.
Mm.
Now that, okay, how much effort I would put in to save someone's life, again, as appropriate and as much as they want it to be.
Yes, yes. And as much as attunement assigns us to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, when
Absolutely.
you now bring in attunement, in other words, the question really becomes, right, to get into this fully from a way of impeccability point of view, right? It says, well, first of all,
Yes.
I'm only going to do this. I'm only ever going to do this if it is in attunement. Yes.
Hmm.
There's no way I could take on that as a presumption to do this if it wasn't in attunement, correct? Because it's like
Yes.
that would be very presumptuous, yeah?
Yes.
But if attunement comes and puts me into that situation, I'm doing whatever I can. Whether I think I can save or not is irrelevant. I'm just doing whatever I can in that context, yes? Now,
Yes.
and so the answer becomes to do whatever it takes. That's really the answer, right? Whatever it
Hmm.
takes.
Yes.
The question is, it's a bit of an opposite question, because when it implies, when you say what would you do or how much effort would you make, that there's, a certain amount of effort, but really it is whatever it takes. Correct? At the end of the day, on a question like this, it's whatever it takes. If it's in attunement, and you there because of attunement, there's no doubting it. This is what is right for you to do. Yeah, that's it. And you do whatever it takes, whether you now know what to do or not. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's whatever it takes. Yes. Yeah. Ramsey says, well, this is the purpose of all three my books, and I'm writing the last one, which will be launched soon. I believe only this much because I said in my books what I have to say for others to benefit in a way or another from my thoughts. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And Norma says, Yes, I would ask help from Jesus, and I would and have done with attunement of angels, spirit, or big J. Yes, exactly. That's it, being in attunement. This has to be something that is in attunement. And, whether it's now Jesus or God or Allah or Krishna, it doesn't matter. Fairy Queen, doesn't matter who you're in attunement with. But when I say attunement, I mean life, the universe, everything, right? Which depends how you define it, but that's what I'm referring to, right? And this is a very, very big deal to have it be in attunement. Otherwise, we are just being arrogant and presumptuous to say I know what's good for you. But if I'm being pressed, like for instance, if somebody is drowning and I see them drowning, okay, I don't have the physicality to go and jump in and save them. We'll both drown, right? So I have to do other things in order to save them. But I'll do whatever I can within the context, that whatever's available to me. It's taken for granted that when it comes to physically saving somebody's life, that you'll do whatever you can, whether you know you can help them or not, doesn't matter. Okay, somebody's busy drowning, let's say in a river, and they're washing down the river. And well, I know if I jump in there, both of us are going to get washed. So I can't jump in and go and save them, right? They need a line or a rope or something. So I look around and I grab it. I say, well, I don't really have much, but okay, here's a piece of wire. All right, I'll throw out the wire. Hopefully they can grab it. Maybe the wire will be too slippery. I see what I mean. I do whatever I can, whether or not I think it's going to work or not. I do whatever is available, whatever is appropriate. But when it comes into the context of when it comes to somebody spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, whatever, we don't know either, and we throw the thing out. If it works, okay, fine. If not, we throw something else. Now we typically have a bit more time when it comes to this saving somebody's life in a non-physical way. There's not that immediate pressure like they're getting washed away from the river, and well, I can only stay on the bank so long before I can't. There's too many trees or whatever. What I mean? There's complications, right? So usually when it comes to saving somebody's life in a physical context, there's a time pressure, which makes things very difficult and also very simple because, well, whatever I've got available and nothing I can do, sorry. Okay. And I tried, but I couldn't find anything. There wasn't anything. It's not up to me. Yeah. So we understand this. We are at peace with this. If we don't succeed, we know that this might not be available to us, right? Physically, I'm still ready to do whatever it takes. Mentally, I already trained my mind. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Ramsey also says, this is whatever it took for me. I'm saving the energy for me now. Yes. And that's also appropriate, right? That this energy balance, yes, it's very, very important. Norma says, also with animals, I have to be one vegan. Attunement to for me is giving love to all. Yes, yes, absolutely, Norma. So this is a really cool question because for me, and for Norma, for Ramsey, for Beena, right? By implication, we'll do what whatever it takes. Yes, as appropriate, as appropriate. And at some point, like Ramsey says, at some point we have to say enough. And now I have to also focus on me. Yes. So it's always about appropriateness at the end of the day. Yes. I said what I wanted to say in this universe. Wow, wonderful, Ramsey. That's a very cool thing to have, to be able to say that I have said what I wanted to say in this universe, in this life. Yeah. That's very cool to be able to say that because many people don't say that. They don't feel like they have said their say, right? And it's very important that we do say that. Ramsey says, I'm not seeing Norma's replies. Weird. Yeah, sometimes you just have to refresh the page. Norma said the problem would be if there was a choice. Yes, sometimes those choices are difficult to make, and especially if there's pressure. And this is thing too. It's not about being right. It's about having the right intent. Okay. We don't know when there are choices sometimes, and especially if there's time pressure and we have a choice. Okay, well, should I throw the wire or should I throw the thin nylon string that may cut their hands? I don't know. Either one plus and a minus. I could sit there debating it for hours and figure it out, go and do research. I don't have the time. I'll pick the one that I think is best in the moment. I'm trusting my intent to goodness. I'm trusting that I was trying to pick the best one. That's all I can do. If it turns out to be the wrong one, so be it. I can't hold it against myself. This is the magic of impeccability. Because when it comes to impeccability, our motivations, our intents are always 100%. And never in doubt, never in question. So if I make the wrong choice, I don't have regrets. None, zero. It is what it is. My intent was good. I made appropriate effort. I was thorough, scrupulous, diligent, conscientious as much as I could be in the circumstance. That's it. Right? In the circum, I didn't have time to be really sit and think about it. I had to act then and now. In other words, I had to, in reality, choose randomly. Right? Let's say, whatever the choices were, and they're all potentially good and they're all potentially bad. I'm picking at random. It's a guess. Uh, that's it. Didn't work out. Didn't work out. That was just luck of the draw. Right? If it happened again, I'll choose the other one. And, if it was 50-50, then if you do, 10 of them, five is going to work, five is not. That's just how it is, right? So we have to make peace with probability and make peace with our own intent and mechanism and not get hung up about right and wrong. We can't. But I'll say this is very important. This is very important. Let's see. I read all of Norma's answers, Ramsey, so they're all there. But yeah, it is odd that you don't see it. But I noticed this chat has been the comments have been a bit weird sometimes. So I don't know why. No. Uh, uh, you are a friend of Norma's, so you should be able to see them. The comments aren't limited by that. It shouldn't be. It's on the chat. I don't know. Beena, any comments on this before we get going on our reading?
No, no, it's all wonderful. Please continue.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, really. That's all I wanted to share on it. I just wanted to bring that question up. I was just thinking because we're working on the book, all right, on bringing out two books. Ask Biella, questions answered, book one, and Ask Biella, questions answered, book two. But this is a question that came up, and there's a lot behind this. We could do an entire show just on this one one question, right? I mean, what does it mean? What does it imply? What does it entail? I mean, we can really go into it in much depth. But I just wanted to put it out there really briefly in this general thing. How much effort? The answer is essentially the end result is whatever it takes, yes, and whatever's appropriate. And depending on how much the universe presses you to do it, sometimes you only need to do a little, and you may just go and say hello to somebody. Sometimes just saying hello can save a life. Somebody's down deep and they're in that moment where they, want to take their life or whatever. You don't know what's going on inside. The universe says, go and say hello. You don't even know you're saving their life, but you go. And in that moment, they were about to decide to take their own life, maybe not on that place, that spot, right? But later, right, to make that decision. And they said, well, if nobody comes and I've seen this happen many times, right? Where people put some condition and they wanted some sign from the universe, and you are that sign. You don't even know you're the sign. So sometimes you don't even know there's any effort. You just, well, the universe made me say it. I don't know why, and you do it, right? That's why it's important to be able to act on prompts from the universe, force of circumstance, because you don't know what's going to happen. And other times it takes a lot more. Other takes it sustained interaction. It can take decades of interaction. Being with somebody, for instance, right? Being in a relationship, you look back and you say, why? Why was I in this relationship? How come I stayed in it so long? Look at it from the context of potentially saving a life. Now, okay. That puts a whole different spin on it. I never thought so at the time, but if I look back now, this person had opportunity. They could have done this, they could have done that, they could have shifted, they could have done this. And well, okay, I'm not in a relationship anymore, but I don't know what effect it had. It could have changed everything for them. I don't know. So I'm just saying, I'm just using it as an example, right? We don't know, but it changes. It changes our understanding of saying, I'm at peace because I did everything I could. I didn't even think of it in that context, but I gave it my best and I'm satisfied. I was impeccable. Walk around supermarket with awareness of others, says Norma. A smile to a stranger is like pass and parcel. Yes, yes, part and parcel. Correct. Yes, it's part and parcel of being in the supermarket. Correct. And to me, what's even more important, I don't need to go and smile at people because now, if I'm in a space, sometimes I don't want to be smiled at. Yeah, because it's you may be forcing me to smile back, and you're starting a relationship, interaction, whatever, right? So that's dicey. Generally smiles okay, but not always. However, if I am in that supermarket and I am experiencing joy of being, yes, I'm going to put it in comments there, joy of being, yeah, with the hyphens. Yeah. If I'm experiencing joy of being, it matters not where somebody else is. Yes. In whatever space they are at, they can be as depressed as anything. But when you are experiencing joy of being, and you are not doing it because of ego or that, you are just simply enjoying being. Much like a dog may be walking by, and you don't hate the dog for enjoying being a dog, right? Right. Maybe some people will, but in general, right? At least I don't know where this has a negative consequence unless the person is now really choosing to be horrid. Then that has to be a choice, right? But what I'm saying is when you express joy of being, this always is a positive. This is a great thing, yes? And there's no pressure on this person. They can just observe you and stay in the mood, whatever it is. And they don't have to. They don't have to. They don't have to put a smile. They don't have to be cheerful. They don't have to do anything. They just see it. And just in that awareness of somebody else's joy of being, you are aware that it exists and can exist. It's an example. And in that, it is profoundly valuable. Now, if you choose to connect to it and relate to it, you can pick up that vibe from the person and use it to raise your own joy of being if you weren't particularly feeling joy of being, right? So joy of being is a very particular mood that is always, always, always appropriate to share and be. Yes, makes a very big difference. So it's very profound. And when we look at it in that context, if you want to do something, it's in the article, the chapter, what can I do? That's what you can do. Express, experience joy of being. That's it. That's all you need to do. You don't have to go and push it out there. You don't have to share it. Just experience it because you are now putting positivity out into the world. Goodness, moreness, joy. Yes? It's you adding to it, to the overallness of things. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful point. Yes, Beena, does that make sense?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a good perspective. Yes.
Yeah. And now, how do we feel joy of being?
You do.
How?
Just by being us. That's it.
There you go. There you go. This is something that Beena, that you do, and you do, and it's just as a default. You express. We can see your joy of being. It's always there in you. Yeah, it's a most
Yes.
incredible and marvelous thing. All right, on our topic for today. Our topic for today is, where is that subtitle? Where did we say, right? Let me read it here. Our title for today is Connecting the Dots, filling in the gaps of what law of attraction industry misses. Right? And
Yes.
we're going to reread this chapter because this is
Yes.
the title is connected to when we were reading this chapter 2 days ago, because we were going to finish it yesterday, but we got sidetracked with Sh- with Sher coming on and being a guest on the show. So we're going to reread this chapter from the start. We got halfway, but we're going to spend the whole show today is going to be on this chapter with this focus of Beena connecting back to connecting the dots from when she was reading it 2 days ago. And we not finished, and there were lots of stuff had come up for her, and she wanted to share all of her takeaways of how this chapter uh, answers many of the questions of what the law of attraction industry misses, right? So we're going to do that.
Yes.
We're going to do that. Brilliant. Let me just, before we get going, I'll screen share in a minute here. I just want to refresh and check on the comments and make sure I didn't miss any before we get going. Ramzi, I want you to come on the show and be a guest to share about your books, by the way. It's very important. I know I've said this many times, and I think you said yes, yes, or whatever, but uh, uh, come on. That's how I click the angry, Beena. It's when I try and put off the volume, the the emotions, the things to share on the post is right underneath it, and it jumps when you do it. It's low at the bottom, and then it goes higher, and that's how come I do it. I see now. All right. So no more comments here. Joy of being. Oh, Ramsey says, when you manage your internals and shine your soul, it radiates to the outside. So you connect with others without opening your mouth. A nice repeat back of what I said. Wonderful. Exactly. Exactly, Ramsey. That's exactly what I was saying. It's nice to hear it in a different way. That's a repeat back, right? From Way of Impeccability, it's what a repeat back is. So excellent repeat back there. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, did you hear what I said about you coming on as a guest, Ramsey? I've said it many times. I never get a response. Maybe Ramsey doesn't want to come on as a guest.
No, he says that okay, whenever you want. It's just
Oh,
something
oh,
he will respond to.
oh, I'm not seeing his response there. Just tell me, you can come any day,
Not
Ramsey.
now, not now. It was before.
Oh, I see. Okay. Ramsey, I can't say when. For me, any time is good. Doesn't matter. Right? Any time. You just come whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. Yeah, yeah. Right. Sure, but let me finish editing and launching this one in and all right, there we go. There we go. That would be good then. All right, very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. Now let us start our chapter for today. Yes, I'm very keen to redo this. And let me do screen share. And let me turn off the sound. By the way, yesterday I was playing the fanfare sound and I didn't have it on to share the sound, so I could hear it, but it didn't come over for you guys. So it was a big flop there. Quite amusing. Yeah. Yes, yes. With the editing, with AI, you have to specify to say only do copy editing, only adjust punctuation, spelling, and grammar, and only, right? Or just punctuation and spelling, and show me what you adjust. Then it can be helpful. But yes, other than that, don't people use AI to help them write, and you lose a lot. You lose a lot. You get very cliched writing because the AI, when it does this, it starts to express sentiments according to the average, which makes it cliche. So yeah, not good there. I mean, what makes writing good is that it's authenticity, it's realness. Yeah, it doesn't have to be original, but it does have to be authentic. That's a very big difference, right? So it doesn't have to be original, it has to be authentic. It's a big difference. People think authentic means original. No, I can say what people have said all throughout the ages. I'm just saying it in my way. It's important to me. I'm feeling it now, and this is what makes it something very important. All right, here we go. Chapter 40, chapter 40, chapter 40. Right. Please, Beena, if you would read.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Ramsey, it would change the point of the book. Yeah, 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 yeah. The spirit of the book. Yes, exactly. Exactly. AI takes the spirit out of your book. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go ahead, Beena. Go ahead.
Okay, I need to just move this. Okay, your taskbar is on top, so
I
just
moved it. I moved it.
yes. Okay. How does one learn from and adapt to suffering proactively without investing meaning in it? That question was very loaded for me.
Yes,
Really?
yes, yes. All right.
Wow.
Now today we are also going to do our reading differently. We are going to do full capital R reading. Yes.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
question needs a lot of discernment. In what way was it very meaningful to you, or very complicated, or loaded? Loaded. You said loaded. That's the word. Yeah.
Yes. It's I said loaded because okay, it is first thing like the emphasis on that. Okay, one learn adapt to suffering because like oh my god. Okay, so because mostly the idea is that oh yes we all say that everyone, whoever you will listen to or read to, they all say that, okay, it's all about learning, it's all about learning. But do we really learn without, like, okay, getting into these things? No, mostly it doesn't happen. This is what I have, at least this is what my observation is. And also when you say that, okay, proactively without investing meaning, like
Yes.
it's a completely detachment philosophy right there, that
Yeah.
you are doing things but you are also practicing capital D detachment here, because
Yes.
and that
Yes.
is something I was like, wow, okay. So if we can practice this, if we can really exercise this, no matter practice, just
Yeah.
doing the
Yeah.
exercise of it first time even, it's a big deal, because the whole philosophy of detachment, no tanglement, no clinginess, and no insisting on, no resistance, no ego. So many things involve into that, that okay, without getting into this thing, without meaning in it. Because if you have to, like, if you want to do something, and if you will attach the sign, of course, which I was never being able to understand before, that we assign meaning.
Correct. Correct.
That's how
We
we just treat things.
assign meaning.
Yes,
Assign. It really
yes.
kind of needs to be emphasized. Yes. Very big
Exactly.
deal.
So
Very big deal.
that's why I was saying that, okay, this whole question is so loaded for me, because
Yeah.
this only
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
question is so crucial to understand. If we can understand this concept, we can do a lot in life. We can do a lot in life. It's like,
Yes.
it is going to be for me. It's a spiritual quantum leap right there. That, okay, oh yeah,
Yes. Yes. Let's break this down. Let's break this down. Right.
yes.
First of all, it says, how does one, hey, where did it go? Where did it jump? How does one learn from, right? Let's just take it there, right? Well, learn from suffering. Yes. But proactively is the qualifier, right? So we'll leave adapt to. We'll just say, how does one learn from suffering as the first question? Yes. But not during it, but before the time. Yeah. So that's what the proactively means, right? You want to be before you need to learn from suffering in the moment. You want to be ready for it, right? So it's okay, okay, all right. Oh, thank you for being here, Ramsey. Oh, by the way, real quick before you go, if you get stuck on something in your editing and you need a second opinion, feel free to message me. I'm a really good editor. I'm happy to say that myself. I'm very confident on that. Without being bragging or egotistical, I'm an excellent editor. Feel free to share whatever you stuck on and you want a second opinion. Feel free. Feel free. Yeah. Norma says, catch you another time, dear Ramsey. Marvelous. No. All right. So how does one learn from suffering proactively? In other words, how do we prepare ourselves to learn from suffering? That's what that really means. Correct, Beena? Beena?
Yes,
Right? Okay.
yes,
The
yes, yes.
proactively. Okay. So this is, it's written. The question is poorly asked, but this is just people and language, right? So we want to be proactively learn, or proactively prepare ourselves to be able to learn from suffering and to be able to adapt to it if needed. Yes.
Mm,
Now the last
yes,
part, right? Is that right? If I understand this first part, correct?
yes,
All right. So we clear clarity of intent. We want to be clear as to the questioner's intent, because as it's written, grammatically it can't really work, right? So we have to rearrange it. I'm not thinking on behalf of the questioner. It's just the way the question is written. It cannot be in any other way, really. But they add this last part here without investing meaning in it, without
yes,
investing meaning in suffering. And we're going to see this come later, that that the questioner is stuck a little bit on this idea of investing meaning into suffering. Because there are people who do invest meaning into it. You'll see it, for instance, in relationships, tragic relationships. Oh, but we have a bond of suffering. Yeah. And so they invest a lot of meaning into their suffering. They call it a bond of suffering, and this is what makes the relationship special. A BMN that I knew and that I was knew very very closely during the time of writing the first book, right? All about uh, um, the psychology of the superiority paradigm. This BMN and their mother had this bond of suffering, and it was this big deal to them. And they thought it was the coolest thing ever. And oh, yes, this is what ties us together. They invested meaning into their suffering. But we're going to see this is not Biella's perspective, right? So the questioner is when they say without investing meaning in it too, there's an implication that this is what typically happens or could happen, or they're assuming that it is sort of something that does happen automatically, right? It just goes part and parcel with learning from and adapting to suffering. Yes, that you also then, well, if you learn from suffering and adapt to suffering, you're going to invest meaning into it, right? That's implied, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we are going to say no, none of this, or at least Biella is likely go right. Dear question, by not investing, by extracting, right away, right away, right away, right away. Biella gets right to it, right? She says by not investing, by extracting, change the whole paradigm. Yes. Now you have that from, not in, is implied here, correct? If you extract, you're getting value from, not in. Yes. All right. But you read, Beena, and you read and share your takeaways as they come up. All right.
Yes.
Maybe read the question again, just so we get the full total again.
Yes.
Oh, look at the subheading. Start with the subheading.
Mm-hmm. Oh, extracting the good.
See,
Okay.
it already tells us right there.
Yes. So you are going to read the
No,
question, you
no,
were
no,
saying?
no, 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 no. You read.
Okay, okay. Extracting the good. How does one learn from and adapt to suffering proactively without investing meaning in it? Okay, okay. Dear questioner, by not investing, uh, by extracting, nothing in and of itself has meaning. Meaning is something we create. It is not in things independently. This to me is a fundamentally vital understanding which changes everything. Life and meaning and making sense is not out there. It's all entirely within. We and we alone are the creators of meaning. If the meanings you are getting make no sense, then change them. That is the challenge, to find sense in the insensibility, to create sense.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to add here. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, 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 oh, yeah. In other words, to assign meaning and sense. Yes.
Hmm. In other words, to assign meaning and
I'm
sense.
actually going to put an exclamation mark behind that. Right?
Hmm.
To assign meaning and sense. Capital M meaning, capital S sense. Because if we assigning it, it means it's there, and we adding the meaning, we adding the sense. We're creating sense, we're creating meaning. Yes?
Yes.
Right, right. Okay.
So, sorry, just explain a bit more because we, as by assigning meaning, what you were saying that it's already there.
The thing itself is there, but it doesn't necessarily have either meaning or sense. When we assign it, it's coming from us to the thing, not from the thing to
Yes.
us. Yes, that's what
Okay. Okay.
assign
Okay.
means. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah. In
because
other words, if
because
I
this
if
is
I
important for
assign
me.
you a nickname or assign you a title or assign you a name, you didn't have it. I'm assigning it to you. I'm adding it onto you. Yes. I'm attaching it, associating it, connecting it.
Yes. Yes. But there is a nuance also into that. Not but okay. There is a nuance also into that by assigning, when we use the word assign, which means that that thing or that person, that situation doesn't have any meaning, but we do have already. And
Oh, no,
we
no, no,
use
no,
it.
not
No, no,
necessarily.
no, let me
Yeah.
finish,
Oh,
let
sorry,
me
sorry, sorry,
finish.
sorry, sorry.
We do assign meaning from our previous experiences,
Oh, we can. Yes, we can
or on the understanding
inadvertently
and the
assign meaning.
understanding.
Yes,
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 and the
yes.
understanding. Okay, so according to my understanding,
Ah,
whatever I think, and also that what are my previous experiences or the memory of my experiences, then I assign meaning to that. So
yeah.
thus by assigning is that something I already have, and I'm just going to mix and match. And this is what usually we do.
Wow.
Oh, because this is something like this, so that it means that it is going to be this.
Okay. To deliberately and freshly assign meaning and sense.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, okay.
Yes.
Right? No bias from
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wow. I love how we're adding to this article. You know, just
Yes.
just this year now, right? In other words, to deliberately and freshly assign meaning and sense. No bias from experience. Yeah. I think I want
Yes.
to say no experience bias. It
Yeah, that is
just,
more efficient.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And more, more rightly, I suppose. I don't know what the word is. Artistic, creative, poetic, whatever. Yeah, more better. No experience bias. There we go. Much better. Much better. All right.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm going to read this again for myself. How does one learn from and adapt to suffering proactively without investing meaning in it? Dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting nothing in and
Oh,
of
hang on, hang on,
itself
hang on,
has.
hang on. Read that again, but read with the full stop, please.
Okay, dear
Too quick
questioner,
there. It's too
by
quick.
not investing, by extracting nothing in
You
and
see, you
of
see what I mean,
itself.
Beena?
Mhm.
Read it again, because you still have extracting and there's like a connection to nothing, but it's not. It must stop there,
Okay.
right?
Dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting nothing in and of itself has meaning. Meaning
Yeah.
is something we create. It is not in things. Oh, okay. Independently. I need to read it again, Syl. It was
Right,
jumping.
right, right. I know, but I changed it now so that you wouldn't do what you did. Because I'm thinking that if you do this, then the reader might also. That first line, it really is. I actually think that I'm
Okay.
going to make this like this,
Okay. Okay.
right? It's
You're
so
making it more
important. It's
obvious now.
so
Yes.
important. Yeah.
Okay. Dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting, nothing in and of itself has
All right, let
meaning.
me read it.
Meaning
Let me
is
read it. Let me read it. Dear questioner, right? How does one learn from and adapt to suffering proactively without investing meaning in it? And dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting. Big pause,
hmm,
big pause. Because she's starting again now, completely starting again. You're making a major PowerPoint. Dear questioner, by not investing, by extracting. Nothing in and of itself has meaning. Meaning is something we create. See what I mean? It changes the whole rhythm, right? Make sense, Beena?
yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, I know I'm being fiddly on this, but it's so huge in this case that this extracting, and I think I'm going to italicize extracting as well. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Nothing in and of itself has meaning. Meaning is something we create. It is not in things independently. This to me is a fundamentally vital understanding which changes everything.
Mm.
Life and meaning and making sense is not out there. It's already, it's all entirely within.
Hmm.
We and we alone are the creators of meaning. If the meanings you are getting make no sense, then change them. That is the challenge, to find sense in this insensibility, to create sense. In other words, to deliberately and freshly assign meaning and sense. No experience bias. But it's sense only for yourself. It's always intensely personal, as it's only presumptuous to think we can know what is sensible to others.
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Oh, one second. One second. Look what I changed here. Beaning.
mhm,
Beaning. I called you beaning.
like meaning?
Meaning and yes, exactly. All right. If the meanings you are getting in inverted commas, that
Okay.
changes it, right? Because Biella saying here, it's you are reacting to things as if there is meaning and it's coming at you from the things, but that's not accurate. It's getting. You don't actually get meaning. You the one that decides if there's meaning or not, right? So you don't get it. You don't get the meaning. It's not inherent in the thing, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if the meanings you are getting in inverted commas make no sense, then change them. That is the challenge,
Yes.
to find sense. I'm gonna italicize all of this. I know there's not supposed to use italics too much, but this is important. That is the challenge.
And
To
Norma is asking, can you give an example?
an example of what, Bina, Norma?
I don't know. She's asking.
Oh,
So,
finding sense. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, all right, all right. I will, I will, I will. Okay. I will in a second. Let me just finish this paragraph. It's this,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
If the meanings you are getting make no sense, then change them. Right? That is the challenge. To find sense, find as in deliberate, right? It's italicized. That makes it deliberate. To find sense in the insensibility. To create sense. In other words, to deliberately and freshly assign meaning and sense. No experience bias, right? Coming at it freshly. All right. Now let's take something that doesn't make sense, right? That we encounter on a regular basis. Cruelty to animals. I know this is a big deal for Norma. That's why I want to use it as an example, right? Right? It doesn't have meaning, but inherently it's craziness. It's illogical, irrational. It's suffering. I'm suffering. The dog is suffering. The person doing the cruelty is suffering. That's why they do it, right? How do I assign meaning and sense to it? I say, well, I have to really think about this, right? But an example, I'm not gonna get into how I do it because I'm just want to share it as an example. So for me, I assign meaning to it. In which way? I explained this the other day, Norma. I say this is for me a reminder. The meaning of it is that I am reminded, motivated, spurred, energized to do something about changing the paradigm in which we live. Cruelty to animals is a consequence, a direct consequence of the superiority paradigm. People who feel that at the bottom of the ladder, right? They like in the lion pack, right? The one who's at the very bottom, and when they're fighting over the food, sometimes they don't get any food, and they're always being bullied by everybody, and it really sucks terribly. Yeah. So what does that lion go and do? It finds a hyena to bully. People do the same thing. That's why they're cruel to animals. It is a way for them to express their superiority, to get rid of all their anger and frustration and suffering, to vent it on something. The psychology believes that if you can put it out onto something, you're going to get rid of it. It's a mistaken belief, but that's what people do. Yeah. But when I see that, it is the meaning for it to me is that it is helpful for me to maintain this awareness that we need to change the paradigm. We need to change the paradigm, and you need to be doing something in order to change the paradigm. So this has a lot of meaning for me, but I've assigned the meaning. Inherently in itself, it's a meaningless action. It's just stupid. It's just crazy. It's just idiotic. However, I can take another meaning out of it too and say that how do I know something is wrong unless I can experience that wrongness? I don't. Yes. Doesn't help if you say it's wrong, right? I mean, yes, after a time, I have enough experience of experiencing bad decisions to know, and I can extrapolate from that and use my experience to say, okay, I can now see that this is wrong. But if I'm starting fresh, I don't know. So when I do something, I have no idea. I'll give you another example here, right? Of now retroactively, this had meaning for me. I was very young, like 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there, as preschool. My brother had a cat, and he'd heard, like kids do. It Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get to your question about war and meaning in a moment. Yes, that's a good example. But I want to use this example of the cat. And my brother had heard somewhere, as kids do, that if you throw a cat up in the air, a cat always lands on its feet. Yes. And he was throwing the cat up and let the cat land, and it was always landing on its feet, right? And he would kind of spin the cat as well, and to test the theory. And well, the cat was always landing on its feet. And he said this to me. Oh, I'm checking to see if this is really true. And he could not get the cat to not land on its feet, right? And I took up this challenge, and I figured out a way to get the poor cat to land on its back. Now, I had no clue. At the time, all I was focused on, I had no frame of reference to even think of suffering for the cat. It wasn't in my thinking at the time. Yes. All I was focused on was the challenge of getting this cat to not land on its feet. And I succeeded. Because I just figured it out. But the point I'm making is that we don't know we're doing the wrong thing sometimes, yes, until you actually do it. And later on, I realized, and I felt really bad about it, but I realized also at the time that, well, I can't really feel bad about it because I wasn't trying to hurt the cat. I was simply trying to prove the point. Yes, I had no moral or ethical or emotional connection. I wasn't even aware of that, right? It was simply a challenge. I only became aware later on. And also I had assumed just because my brother was doing it and he's older than me, at that age, he's like twice my age, literally. Right? If I was 4, he was 8. He's 4 years older than me. So it's like, well, if he's doing it, it must be okay. Assumed assumptions, right? Context, cueing. Yes. I later realized that he was capable of doing things that weren't so cool. He was a stupid boy. Okay. I didn't, when I was 4, he wasn't stupid. He was the smart older brother, right? So lots of things happen. Now, look at the meaning that I get after the fact. That was a profound point of awareness that at the time, well, I could solve problems. That was, figure out something my brother couldn't. That had a lot of meaning for me. Yes. So I stopped trusting him from that. Well, not immediately. It took quite a few things to build up like this, right? But I stopped assuming that he had sensibility, right? Because one time, okay, it's an exception. But if it happens multiple times, after a while, I stopped, and that was it. No? And it was very helpful for me to stop this, right? I mean, another one was who can pee the furthest. I saw that too, and I don't know, lots of examples. I have it all in the young man's story or the young boy's story in this case. But there's a meaning to it. And the meaning for me, if I assign a meaning, it's all about awareness and understanding awareness, taking things for granted, making assumptions, being aware that we might not be aware of consequence. Now, I was 4 years old, and you can say, well, fair enough. But you know how many people stay 4 years old? Plenty. Yeah. We mustn't assume because people are older that they don't still have that mindset where they're not aware of certain things. They aren't. They aren't. They do things that they should do and supposed to do. That person who's being cruel to the animals may have grown up in a household where people were routinely cruel to animals. And this was what you're supposed to do. The animals, they need to learn, they need to be taught, they need to be taught a lesson, blah, blah, blah. I mean, when you get into that psychology, and it gets really conditioned into people. It's like, oh my goodness, right? So for me, when we really develop this deeper understanding, we see that there is a big deal to things, right? And there's a moreness to them. Now we kind of come to the war. And Norma, I have a book, The Council of the Gods book, and it is precisely the theme, the overall, is to understand that things can have a deeper meaning that we might not see, like wars. All right, so take the war in Ukraine. We've got Putin. Putin's been around for decades now, right? I mean, he followed up after Yeltsin. Yes, Yeltsin appointed him as his successor, and this was what Yeltsin was. He's been like 20 years, I think, now already, right? More, maybe even, right? That Putin's been around. Putin's a ridiculously evil, horrible character. Causes tons of trouble, and he's in a position of power to do so. And many dictators and authoritarians like him, they're very obviously so, and their hold on powers is very tenuous, like Kim Jong Il in Korea, right? Oh, Kim Jong Un. I forget which one is. Anyway, them there. I mean, they're always at risk of being deposed or murdered by their own children or their family, like he did. I mean, he killed his father or had his father killed. He's killed his brother, his uncle, whatever, right? So their situation is very, very unstable and tenuous. But Putin has managed to entrench power where he's very stably ensconced and entrenched in his power. And he causes trouble all over the world. I mean, look at all the trouble he causes just via social media and manipulation and having blackmail on people, all the stuff, right? So he's a real dark character in the world, a real troublemaker. And he has these designs, these imperialist conquest designs. He wants to bring the old Soviet Union back, and for no other reason that it's just his ego. That he feels impinged, the glory of the Soviet. It's madness. It's madness, but madness under the guise of narcissism, which is quite reasonable and logical. So now he goes and invades Ukraine. Politically, this is a very big mistake. Yes. So there's the meaning for you, Norma, that this is going to lead to his downfall. Just you watch. Sooner or later, it's already, there's been severe cracks. One of his generals and was kind of a mercenary guy who has this big force that was very powerful. And he said, "No, I'm not going to be involved in this." They actually took tanks. They went all the way into the streets of Moscow. Okay, it didn't go further. Putin got to him, and then he said, "Okay, you're going to go live in Georgia," and everything was okay. And well, 2, 3 weeks later, the guy's plane exploded. Right, end of that. But that was a severe crack to his one of his main lieutenants or supporters was saying, "No, this is not good." Right, and there's a lot of opposition to that war in Russia. I mean, the day it started, there was massive demonstrations. People know they were going to get thrown in jail. So my point is the meaning of it is that it is a crack. It is something that happens that is going to lead to Putin's downfall. He's so entrenched and he's got the system so locked down, right, that it's almost impossible to be in opposition to him. Look at the main opposition leader, which he sort of tolerated just because, well, he wants to keep the illusion that he can have opposition. And the guy died a couple of weeks back, right? Navalny, gotten rid of. So it's almost impossible to go against Putin. So here's the meaning of it. Putin has to be his own enemy. He has to make the crack in himself. You see, he's an evil, he's a horrible thing. He causes tons and tons of trouble all over the world. And this is going to lead to that, right? And it's going to resolve this question too. And sometimes, when again, like I said, how much energy, how far you go, what are you willing to do to save a life? What are you willing to do to save the world? See? Now, the Ukrainians their independence is a big deal to them. It's been a very big deal. If you look at their history, right? They are the exact right people. I mean, if he had chosen any of those other republics, it would not have been like Georgia or Kazakhstan or whatever. He picked the worst one, which is Ukraine. But in our context, from a world point of view, you pick the best one because this is exactly, I mean, look at that president of theirs, right? I mean, he's fantastic. He's the right guy at the right time. He didn't flee. Him and all of his cabinet, everybody, they stayed there. They're putting the fight in. They're bringing it to Putin. If it was any other place, they would have just all collapsed, rolled over, and it would have been like what happened with the Soviet Union before when they came and invaded Hungary and Romania and Czechoslovakia, all these places, right? The whole Iron Curtain thing. There was no opposition. Countries just rolled over, and you had decades long of that entire Soviet bloc, right? All those countries under communist rule, East Germany, Romania, Hungary, all these places, right? And it's terrible. It's terrible, right? So this this war now has a logic in this, that it is preventing that from happening again. That's the meaning to it. Yes. But again, it may be just random. I don't know. I can't say it is the meaning. That's the meaning for me. I see that it makes sense. And if you look at history from this perspective, in that bigger picture, what is the good that's going to come out of this? When we ask that question, it's really profound. And the good that's going to come out of this is going to lead to Putin's Putin's collapse eventually, right? And it's already started. The cracks are there in a big way. Right? So therefore, very good. Yeah. It's very interesting, Norma. Very interesting. Does that help, Norma? Beena, does it make sense what I'm saying? As an example? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All the examples, right? We don't know necessarily what the meaning is, but we can assign meaning. Yes. And it just
Yes.
takes a bit of thinking, a bit of creativity. And the way to do this is ask yourself, yes, the suffering is there, but what is going to result longer term, a bigger picture? Longer term, bigger picture. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful.
Okay.
All right, please
Okay.
continue,
As
Beena.
we as we have today a theme, and then okay, yes, we are. At least I'm trying to connect the dots, the missing dots and the missing links, especially in context of the law of attraction thing,
Yeah.
the phenomena we have. Or like, okay, yes, it's
Right.
everybody talks about
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
Right here, it's about the fundamentals of positive thinking.
Yes.
We don't assign any meaning from our side just by randomly, oh yes, okay, this is, oh, I'm going to assume that, okay, this is how it, no, or this thing is like that. No, we stay neutral but also positive.
Yes. Yes. Also, I want to make one more very profound connection, right?
Yes.
Especially for Norma. Norma's latest poem, she's been talking about Jesus, right? Norma loves Jesus, and Jesus is a very
Yes.
lovable character. Now, Norma, what is the most profound meaning of Jesus? It's Easter, right? It's Easter time now. Easter, time of the crucifixion and resurrection. What is the meaning of the crucifixion? Suffering. The entire point of Christianity, Jesus, it's all revolves around the crucifixion. And it is precisely about assigning meaning to that crucifixion, assigning meaning to Jesus' suffering. This is the entire focus of Christianity, right? So use
Hmm.
that lesson. It's inherent in the religion. It's the core of the religion to assign meaning to Jesus' suffering. Yes?
Yes.
It's the entire point of it. It's the entire point of it. So and by extension, is to take that same process of saying that there is meaning. We just need to find it, or at least it might not inherently be so, but we can assign it. Yes. I mean, some people will say, well, Jesus got crucified and that's the end of it. Many people got crucified. Why is he special necessarily? His is special because we assign meaning to it. Yes. I mean, there's a lot of innocent people that got crucified. I mean, a lot of the saints got crucified, and some of them got crucified upside down, and they had worse experiences than Jesus. Jesus wasn't the worst crucifixion by a long chalk, by the way. Right? I mean, he was actually crucified fairly normally, relatively, compared to some of the other torturous crucifixions. But yes, and I understand the resurrection as well, Norma. Yes, I know this, but I'm talking about the suffering part. The resurrection didn't involve suffering. I'm talking about suffering that has meaning. This is core. It's a core point of Christianity, right? That Jesus suffered and there was a reason for it. There was meaning to it. Yes. I mean, again, like I'm saying, it's an assigned meaning. We don't know if there was inherently meaning in it. He just may have made a mistake. But if you actually read the scriptures very carefully, Jesus knew what was coming. He knew it, right? I mean, he set the whole thing up. It was all very deliberate. Yes, he was going by the prophecies, right? So he rode into Jerusalem on the donkey, and the timing and everything. It was very deliberate, very conscious, right? And same thing with Judas Iscariot, right? It had to be. It was necessary. It was all part of the whole thing, right? So it's a very deliberate action. We miss that. Most people don't read that when they don't read the scriptures carefully and look at all. They don't do capital R reading, so they miss a lot of those things. It's all there. It's all there. But my point is about if you look at suffering again, right? Think of it. Wouldn't we? But we wouldn't have known if it wasn't for the resurrection. Yes, again, meaning to things, right? Well, that's maybe not, because we know about many of the saints who got crucified and tortured and horrible deaths, in whatever way, and they didn't have resurrection. So not necessarily, Norma, not necessarily. We would have known about it, but yes, the resurrection made the whole thing into a whole. It was an additional big deal. But I mean, what's the key here is you asked about an example of meaning to suffering. Jesus' crucifixion, the crucifixion part, is an example of suffering that has meaning to it. Yes, or at least that we assign meaning to it. Yes, we don't know if it inherently had meaning, but we assign meaning, right? Yeah. We putting that meaning to it. Make sense? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, not many would be able to control the donkey. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. But we see what I mean, Norma. The resurrection doesn't really factor into it as an example of assigning meaning, yeah, to the suffering. Yeah, or seeing the meaning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, don't say sorry, Beena. Norma. Never say sorry. Please, Norma, never say sorry. We're having a discussion. We're figuring things out. There's no sorry involved. There's no sorry involved. Yeah, I'm trying to click love here and it won't let me. There we go. There we go. To assign meaning. Exactly. We don't know if the meaning that we get from that resurrection is actually this. We can never know for sure unless we the ones who are doing something with a meaning. But when we are looking at other actions, we don't know inherently what is the inherent meaning. Yes, that's very hard to determine, but we can certainly know that assign meaning, or at least choose to accept the meaning that's given to it, which means if I choose to accept the meaning, then I'm assigning it. See? Whether it was so inherently or not. The moment I choose to accept whatever there is, I'm assigning. Yeah, that's just the reality of it that we always assign in essence. Yeah, because we choose to accept. Now, where a lot of people don't accept that as meaningful. Yeah, they don't. They don't say it's meaningful at all. They just think it was stupid, and you got caught up, and it was not good and all that. They don't assign any particular meaning to it. Yes. And many reject the meaning. Yes. Like you're doing this on behalf of everybody to clean up your sins. They think it's absurd. They think the whole reason for the crucifixion to absolve us of our sins and wash away and start again and all this stuff of sin, they think it's completely and utterly absurd. There's no meaning in it for them. Right? So, yeah, inherent meaning, yes, yes, it isn't necessarily there, right? Like I said, in this case with the crucifixion, if it was inherent meaning, actually so, well, then we there wouldn't be really a doubt about it. But that's hard to determine. We don't know. There might be. And so the point is not whether or not there is inherent meaning. It's the point on how we determine it. We can't say inherently it's so, but we can say, for me, it's so. And the moment I say for me, I'm assigning meaning. Yeah. This is the difference. To say it is means you are saying this is inherently so. It is actually so, inherent actually so, or saying for me. When it comes to, especially with religion, people make this mistake. They keep saying it is so. You can't say you don't know. You don't know the details. You don't know. You weren't there. You weren't inside. You weren't God. You weren't Jesus. You don't know inherently. All you can do is say what it means for you. At the end of the day, you can say what it means for you. And you say, well, I'm choosing to trust what the Bible says. Well, that sounds great, but you know how many people will say what the Bible says and they completely contradict others who are believing they say what the Bible says. You can't say for sure because people have different interpretations of exactly the same thing and they come out with totally opposite ends of it, right? So we always assign meaning. Yeah, yeah. We always assign meaning to everything, really, when you get down to it, right? The individual and the individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. Rule of sentience 3. Very powerful, right? The individual and the individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. In other words, arbiter, you decide, you're making this decision, right? It's arbitrary. You decide and you decide. All meaning is arbitrary. All of it. All of it is arbitrary. We cannot say what inherently meaning is because life itself may be meaningless. I can make a great case for everything to be meaningless, all just random. Very easy to make that. Very easy to make that case. So whenever we have meaning, we are deciding that it has meaning. And the moment you decide it has meaning, you are assigning it, right? The moment you decide it has meaning, you're assigning meaning. Yeah. Very powerful. Very, very powerful to understand. Now, to me personally, things have incredible meaning. It's all about the enhancement and development of awareness. Everything's about evolution, growing. And that's what the Council of the Gods story is. You take all these big things, the wars, the Second World War, First World War, all of this, the communism, all of this stuff. If you look at it in the context of evolution and moving somewhere, you see how much powerful meaning it has. It's a wonderful book. I'm really looking forward to finishing that. It's a very, very profound book. And it's a lot of work because I have to do a lot of research with history and I need to connect to historians and all this. But very powerful stuff because it's very convincing. I mean, once you see all of that happening time and again from the perspective of the gods, right? In this case, they not one single capital G God. I mean, they just like Zeus and Mercury and all of them, right? All of the gods. When you see it from that, it's a mechanism for the book, right? It's not a religious statement. It's a mechanism for the book. It's a creative mechanism. But when you see things from that overview perspective, in other words, and you see it happening so regularly, and you see how history suddenly makes sense. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And the value of it is we can see it in the past, how all of these things were necessary. They had to be, even though they were horrible, right? We see the meaning in the suffering and the badness, right? But we don't necessarily see it in our time now. We can see it retrospectively. But if you see a whole pattern of it over centuries, now suddenly we say, okay, well, the war in Ukraine must have a similar meaning. Let me see if I can figure it out. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. It's life changing. It's life changing. Life changing. Very big deal. All right. So we got really on this one point. I love this point of extracting. It's a very, very big deal. And thank you for bringing that up, Norma. And thank you for focusing on it as well, Beena. Because you mentioned right in your monologue, you talked about this point of assigning meaning, how it was a big deal and life changing for you. Yes, Beena? Sorry,
Yes.
I went on a very long time there. I didn't mean to, but it's that earnestness of Norma's question. It's a huge deal, and I really want to make sure this is clear. Beena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, okay. I just want to say, please carry on. I'm done with my whole long immersion. Yeah, well, it's important point. Important point. Yes, Beena, makes sense. Everything I'm sharing makes sense.
Yes. How does one accept that life is unfair in a functional way? Yes, definitely individuals with free choice, just no suffering. By restarting your own personal world, by beginning from the perspective of insisting, absolutely insisting, not because objectively it is or is not, but because we have, we have to, because we cannot live in any other system. By insisting that it's all good, knowing also that good is not necessarily nice, somehow, in some way, the world, the universe, the system is good to me. I have to insist on that view. I have to insist on that view. Life is unacceptable otherwise.
What do you think of
Yes.
this, Beena? What do you think of this?
Yes. It is exactly what you were saying. So,
Yes. Norma, Norma, Norma. To get back to Norma's question, right? When we see things suffering, right? The first thing to remember is, "O ye of little faith." Remember me scolding. I'll scold a little bit. "O ye of little faith, have more faith. Have more faith." If you see suffering, if you believe in God and Jesus, or Allah, or Buddha, or Krishna, doesn't matter who. If you believe in a deity and the deity is good, yes. If you have complete and utter faith that your deity is good, you have to, you have to then, by consequence, by extension, and believe that the entirety is good. The entirety of life has to be good if your deity is good. You might not see it, but that's you. I can't see why the suffering needs to be here, but my brain is small. I'm stupid compared to God or the universe or Allah or Krishna or whoever, right? So we have to trust. We have to have faith in our deity. I can't see the sense of it, but I have to trust that it's there. My deity has enabled it to be there, allowed it to be there because there is some sense in it that I cannot see yet. Yet. Hmm. At least it's me personally. You might not have to add the yet. Me personally, I add the yet. I want to see the sense, but you don't have to. If you have complete and utter faith, you're going to trust. You're going to do what you can to alleviate, to minimize suffering, and that's part of the plan. You learning how to deal with it, that is why it's there, to get you to do something about it. In the doing something, you learn, whether you think you're learning, whether you know you're learning, whether you're aware you're learning, right? You're learning how to solve, you're learning how to grow. And of course, the ultimate way to solve a problem is to remove the cause of the problem, right? Like with diseases, don't treat the symptoms, treat the cause of the disease, right? So you're getting boils. Yes, you can lance the boil and treat the boil, but you want to treat the imbalance in the body that led to the boil in the first place, correct? So this is, we learn this over time. Even if we don't know we're doing this, these things press us to learn, to think, to feel, to be, and change and grow. And over the bigger picture, we evolve. We evolve as a species. And part of our evolution of as a species is driven by suffering. If we didn't have the motivation of suffering, we just kind of be vegetables and stasis and do nothing really because there's no real pressure on us to do stuff. We aren't inherently motivated to learn. We need some pressure. Energy needs an excuse, a reason to be spent. When we don't have a negative pressure or a very powerful positive pressure. And a powerful positive pressure is also in a way negative because it's the absence of something. Yes, so if I want to get something, the negative is that I don't have it. See? And I'm motivated by that negative to get it. So we are kind of almost always motivated by a negative in some way, by suffering. Not having is a suffering. Right? So the reason for suffering, if you really want to get down to it in the bigger picture, is that it's motivation. Without it, we just be in stasis with these blobs of energy just existing, not moving, not changing. There'd be no growth, there'd be no awareness, no evolution. So it's a very big question. It's a very, and for me, everything does make sense. We live in this incredible, brilliant, awesome world. It's a genius setup, genius. Because I trust. I trust in the universe. Now, if I was religiously focused, I'd say I trust in God, I trust in Jesus, I trust in Buddha, I trust in Allah, I trust in Krishna. Doesn't matter. Trust. Right? That trust, having absolute 100% faith. As a religious person, you have to have faith that it is good. The mistake comes in people mistaking good for nice. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. When your kids were suffering, when you punished them, I assume, or there was some negative consequence to their behavior. Norma, did you ever do this for your children? I don't know, maybe you gave them spankings, or maybe you just sit in a corner, or you're not getting something, or whatever. Any kind of negative consequence to negative behavior. In other words, where you deliberately caused your children to suffer in some way for their good. Did you do that ever, Norma? I'll wait for Norma to respond. I'm going to update the live chat. This is a huge point. I know we aren't reading, but this is fine. If we take a week to read this, that's fine too. Right, Beena?
Yes.
Point. I know we. Uh, I'm not seeing. Norma may have left briefly. All right. Well, anyway, to make the point, Norma, if you're going to watch this again, as a mother, you may have had to do things that cause suffering in your children. All right. Here's a good example for me. Yes. Your children skin their knees on gravel, right? And it's all open, it's raw, and there's dirt and gravel in the wound, right? Now, what do you do as a mother? You have to clean that. You have to clean that grazed knee or elbow or whatever it is, right? And you have to wipe it out there. And you don't have a full local anesthetic and all this, and it's not fun for the child, but you got to do it. Otherwise, they're going to get infected and they're going to get sick and they might even die, whatever. It's unpleasant for them. You have to deliberately cause suffering in your child for their good. This is a very clear case. There's no argument here. There's no other way around it. It's not like other things where there may be options. In this case, very direct, right? From your child's point of view, they don't at the moment understand the meaning of that suffering. They don't get it at all. They just think you're being horrible and mean to them. Yeah. And they complain and wail and moan. Yeah. They don't see the meaning in that suffering. They don't see the sense of it, the logic of it. But you do. You know it's there because you have a bigger perspective. So we have to take this example and apply it to life in general and to say, yeah, Allah, God, Krishna, whatever deity, the universe has a sense that I don't have. And therefore, the suffering that I see does have some meaning. It's up to me to figure it out, up to me to find it. And if I can't, I have to trust that it's there. Yes, it doesn't mean that people aren't doing it for stupid reasons, of course, but there's a good reason for people doing stupid things. That reason is that we need to learn as a species, we need to grow, we need to evolve. It's a reminder. Right? We're not there yet. We're not there yet. All right, let's continue, please, Beena. I hope Norma heard what I'm saying. This is such a huge point, which is why this article is so profound and why it's at the end of the book. It brings up so much, and I so makes me so happy, Norma, Beena, that you connected so deeply to this. You said this was a very big deal. This changed a lot for you, and it connecting stuff. And it's very cool. All right, so please continue wherever you want to continue, Beena.
Positive confirmation bias. It doesn't matter if we cannot yet see that good. It's a starting point. We are employing positive confirmation bias to its fullest effect. We have undertaken the task of creating meaning, for ultimately, that's the truth of it. Anything can be seen from multiple perspectives. Absolute meanings are a myth. Everything can mean any number of things. The key is to understand we are the ones who choose. We don't ever have to choose a single meaning either. Another myth. Since
Yes.
meaning is our choice, all meaning is completely a function of us, of our choices, of us selecting a particular meaning from the infinity of possible meanings. This understanding can be overwhelming in terms of personal responsibility. We have to step up and assume that responsibility or stop living. There is no other way, really, if one rejects the complete pointlessness of suffering.
Mm.
The task becomes one of finding positivity. How can I see the world of horror and suffering and cruelty in a way which makes sense, in a way that works for me? How can it possibly be good? How can I extract good? This is the start. Doesn't matter if we can't see it yet. We have chosen to believe it's possible. We have chosen to believe goodness is the order of the day because we have to. Without that, we have nothing. But we are honest. We are sincere and we don't want to be delusional or inaccurate. And in this way, we have to realize varying perspective can all be true. We can choose which we want to have foremost, which to emphasize and which to focus on. In the end of it's always, in the end of it, okay, in the end, it's always our choice.
Mm.
So we start by assuming good and seeing how we can find. It's not easy, but we have to start in the only place we can. The only place we can be entirely sure of all the component aspects, and that's within ourselves. It's only as inside the self where we can be free of assumption and thus also avoid the error of presuming for others. We can't ever truly know the reality within another. We can always only guess. Within ourselves, we can be sure. We can examine ourselves fully and see where and how the suffering we experienced could have been good for us. What
Mm.
good came out of the experience we have set aside our preconceptions. We are on a new mission. The mission is to find the good, no matter what, because we have to. Without finding that good, we only have suffering, and that's unacceptable unless we wish to wallow in self pity all our lives.
Wallow. Yes, wallow. Yeah, 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 yeah. Very powerful, very powerful. What do you make of this, Beena? What are your takeaways here from all of this in the connection of the purpose of our reading this, which is connecting the dots and connecting the dots specifically to what the law of attraction industry, because that's what it's become. It's become an industry now. That whole thing around it, what they miss so profoundly. How does this connect for you, Beena, in that
Yes,
context?
okay. Yes, I was keen and I would love to do that, but I'm not feeling very well now. So I need to,
Oh,
sorry, but I need to go and
oh. Would
we'll
you?
do it some other time. So, yes,
Oh, all right. Sorry to hear that, sweet angel. All right,
no
all right.
problem, no problem. It was
Okay,
just like, okay, I'm
okay.
not feeling well. So that's
Yeah.
why.
So you don't want to keep reading. We end we end
Yes.
our today. All right. Okay. All right.
Or you can continue, of course.
No. But the point of this is to do it with you. I'm very keen to connect with this with you.
Mm,
This is
mm.
it's your meaning moreness because this is a big deal. This article for you, right? So we'll just start over again next time. It's not a problem.
Yes.
Problem. We'll just do this
Yes.
whole show all over again because I got so
No.
sidetracked with Norma, which is good because
No
she's
need.
not feeling well.
I can. No, but I asked you for the written material, and I have that, so
I
I
sent
can
it.
do it by my phone also.
I know, but
Yes.
I want to do it together with you. This is very important to me. I mean, today Norma helped in her earnest question, and I got all focused
Oh
on that,
yes.
and it helped
Oh
because
yes.
she's
No
not
problem.
feeling well. So it was appropriate. And what I shared was a
No,
huge
I
meaning.
was
Yeah, so it's all
okay.
good.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Pleasure, Norma. Pleasure,
Yeah.
pleasure, 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 pleasure. Really a big pleasure. And I'm very pleased because this thing of this point of suffering for Norma, it really affects her in a big way. Right? It puts her out, it discombobulates her. And so it's a different Norma has a different connectivity to this article than you. And I love that I was able to fully deal with that for Norma. So this is all about Norma today. We'll get to Beena on. We'll do it on Sunday, Beena. We'll do it on Sunday. We'll start
We'll
again.
see.
We'll
Yes.
start the whole thing again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love this. Please feel better, Beena. Please feel better.
Oh
Please feel
yes.
better.
Yes.
Please
Okay.
feel better. Please feel better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
Norma.
All right. Pleasure. Pleasure. All right. All right. All right. Yes. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. All right. Bye bye, everybody. End meeting. End meeting.